Welcome everyone. I'm James Hunter, here again at Hunter's World, and we have another guest today with us, Brian McLoughlin, for our third episode here on Hunter's World. Brian, thank you for coming on the show today. Brian, tell the viewers a little bit about yourself. I understand you're a senior here at Whitman-Hanson High School. Why don't you tell us what you're doing in high school, along with your future plans after high school as well?
Well, yes, I'm a senior at Whitman-Hanson. As you said, I write for the Whitman-Hanson Express, covering the high school sports and the student athletes after they graduate, doing some feature stories and following their journey after high school. My plans after college is to attend Onondaga Community College in Syracuse, New York, and get an associate's degree in communications and media arts, and then transfer to a four-year school.
Nice. So at Whitman-Hanson, what classes are you taking to, better yourself in the college classes as well?
Well, I take the classes offered by Bob Rogers, TV production, taking classes, advanced English classes, and really just trying to, take things that will be able to allow me to advance my writing and just better me for the college level courses.
Right. So as far as journalism, what made you get into journalism, and where did it all start, your journalism career?
My journalism career, I've always kind of had a feel that that's what I've wanted to do, is get into the journalism field in some way, whether it be the print journalism, broadcast journalism, whatever it may be. And I remember, this is a story that kind of goes along with it, that I've always been the one that really didn't play sports in my family. I have a brother who's a junior at Whitman-Hanson named Jack, and he always was on travel baseball teams and travel basketball teams. And I remember when we lived in Abington for the beginning parts of my childhood, always going to his travel baseball games and sitting behind the home plate and having a camera out there and doing my own little broadcasts. Nice. Talk by myself. We took my kitchen table and put it in the back of my dad's pickup truck and made my own kind of studio that before the game to have players come in and talk. And I kind of did it up nice, and it was fun. I thought it was just a hobby, something that I might grow out of, but it
stuck with you, huh?
It stuck with me, and I kept on, going and getting more into it. And then high school came around. That's where you really do find what you kind of want to do. Right. I know some students, they don't find it till later on, right. But I came into high school kind of knowing what I wanted to do. So I tried to pick my classes and everything around, journalism. And got involved with the right people. I got involved with Kevin over at the community access over up in the back, and he kind of guided me in some ways, with working with the television crew to tape football games my freshman year, and that was kind of my in. And then working with different teams as a manager with the basketball team, I kind of got into, getting, to go to a lot of games. And then I started my own website and started covering high school sports. And that was MIAA Insider. Did that for a little bit, and then I wanted to get beyond just high school. Okay. So then I started Insider Sports Access, which is one of the main platforms that I write on today. So it's been something I've wanted to do since I was really young, and it's all just kind of blossomed into a solid career path.
All right, so as far as your writing, what what influenced you to go further with the website, along with not only high school sports, but college sports as well?
Well, I kind of, I got to establish relationships with a lot of the high school beat writers by covering games and all throughout Massachusetts. And I wanted more. I saw that there was college and there was professional sports, and I knew that high school would be a good start, but it's not really what I wanted to do.
Right.
So I started my own website, kind of dropped the MIAA Insider and made it Insider Sports Access, where we cover high school, plenty of high school coverage, but then got into covering college basketball last year. And that led to me meeting my friend Josh, who works now at SB Nation and was an intern at the New England Hockey Journal, who got me to cover college hockey, and that's really where I am today. But I also kind of just threw my name out there in an email to the director of communications for the Boston Cannons, and they just happened to credential me, and I've been covering the Cannons now for 3 seasons too.
Nice.
So.
And specifically on the Cannons now, why don't you talk about the Cannons in their season? How are they doing so far?
Well, they're gearing up for the 2015 campaign.
Yep.
They're in their 15th year. They're one of the original franchises in Major League Lacrosse, and this year, as their 15th season, with Harvard Stadium going through renovations, they're moving over to Gillette Stadium for the year, and that's going to, I think, really help with not only attendance-wise, which they rank really high in, but also make the fan experience and the player experience. It's a weird league where players aren't full-time.
Right.
They have full-time jobs, and they're playing on the weekends. They're flying from other parts of the country. They're playing in Major League Lacrosse and National League Lacrosse and the Indoor League, and they're crossing over for the beginning parts of the season. So, it's good to see, players watch the league as it's been growing over the last few seasons.
Right. So I understand that you've been talking about the different sports that you've covered through your website, through the newspaper. Is there any sport in particular that you have the most interest in, or that you like writing about the most, that it just excites you when you write about a specific sport?
It's a tie between college hockey and Major League Lacrosse. Both are sports that they have dedicated fan bases, and I'm part of that dedicated fan base for both of them. I love both sports, but if I had to give a leeway to one or the other, I'd probably say college hockey, because there's something about NCAA sports, as many controversies that there may be about the NCAA, it's just kids playing for the love of the game, not necessarily playing for the money. So you get to see a different level of hockey. And with college hockey growing over the last few seasons from 22% of the players in the NHL playing NCAA to over 35% now, you're getting a lot of a view of players that will be in the NHL and that will be making a difference. One of them being the famous Jack Eichel, who's a freshman at Boston University this season.
And I understand you have been covering Boston University, specifically Jack Eichel. Why don't you talk a little bit more about Jack Eichel and Boston University Terriers?
All right, so Jack Eichel is one of the premier players in the NCAA this year, projected to go first to second in this year's NHL entry draft. Wow. Along with, he's in the debate with Connor McDavid, which I believe that Jack Eichel will go first overall. Okay. I think that he has shown over the season that he can definitely be a playmaker. He's somebody who gives it their all every time he's on the ice. There's something about when you watch him, it's a wow factor. You're taken back by how good he is. And you watch him play this season as a freshman in the NCAA and a Hockey East, which is a conference where you're battling. Even if you're at the bottom of the barrel, it's a battle. And to see BU after having a down year last year to come and be a number 1 seed, the 3rd overall in the NCAA tournament, is a testament to how good they are. And he's really brought life to that team. He's somebody who's made their first line with Evan Rodriguez and Danny O'Regan, something that has been special to watch all season. And
continuing with the Boston University, I was looking up your article, your season wrap-up article. Why don't you talk a little bit about that, beginning of the season compared to now, and the standings of the Hockey East?
All right, so Providence College, which ended up finishing 3rd in the standings this season, or 2nd, I believe, in the standings this season, was the projected unanimous favorite to finish first in Hockey East and win the Hockey East tournament. Everybody knew coming in, Jack Eichel was a really good player. but nobody really knew what they could expect out of him, how good he would play. And he's one of the main reasons why they ended up, finishing first, winning the Bean Pot, winning the Hockey East regular season championship, and then taking the crown and getting the automatic bid by winning the Hockey East tournament. I think, this year the Hockey East did not disappoint. They have 3 teams in the 16-team field for the NCAA tournament. And honestly, any one of those 3 teams has a possibility to make a run. And I think BU is one of those teams that you got to watch for the national tournament, to win a national championship. There's a lot of similarities to their title team in 2009 when they won the national title. Going through the way that they won the Bean Pot, the way that they, just played the entire season. There's a lot of similarities, and it's something that's been fun to watch this year.
And how long I know you've been covering college hockey for a while, but how long have you been writing for alongtheboards.com, the college hockey website?
I've been writing for Along the Board since June. The site has actually only been around. This past Saturday was the 1-year anniversary of the site. It's run by a really good friend of mine that I've learned to, really become a mentor. He's been my mentor, I would say, and Jesse Conley, who used to work at the New England Hockey Journal, and ended up branching off to start his own, website. And it's been fun to cover sports. It's given me a lot of opportunities. It was able to provide me a seasoned Hockey East credential, which means that I was able to basically I had a pass, I had my picture on it, and it made it easier to be able to cover games without having to get a credential each individual game.
Yeah.
That I would just email the SIDs and be able to kind of just make sure that there was a seat in there for me, and it made the seat, being able to cover things, an easier transition, which last year I was fighting week in and week out to get a credential and for them to even email me back.
Yeah.
But that's a risk you gotta take. As I'm only 18, I'm still in high school, not even in college yet, so to be able to where I am proud of where I am, of where I've gotten to, because it's been a lot of hard work, and it's something that, it's not easy to do. I've got turned down a lot just based on my age or that I'm still in high school, so I've learned to leave that out if I can, which it helps, and that most of the time I don't put in that, it's fine. So.
Right. So I understand, hockey and lacrosse is one of your major sports that you like to write about, and you write for the bostonlax.net as well. Why don't you talk about, what specific teams you cover and the website itself that you write your articles on?
Boston Lax is a website that is owned by Sean Morris, who used to work and play for the Boston Cannons, who also owns Laxachusetts. It's a lacrosse club. And I write about and I cover Massachusetts high school lacrosse. It's a platform that just is solely on Massachusetts high school lacrosse, and being able to go 4 times a week, go to cover games all over the state and cover some of the best lacrosse, because Massachusetts is a hotbed for lacrosse, and a lot of people don't realize that it's a place like Maryland, like New York, that is a really big lacrosse network.
Yeah.
And it's fun to see, some really good competition, and then, it's really helped me branch off and create a good system and a lot of good a good resume.
So I understand that you have your own company, Insider Sports Access. Why don't you talk about that, because that's new to me, so I don't know much information about that. Why don't you talk about that as well?
Insider Sports Access, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, that is a site that I created back in my beginning of my junior year, like the summer between sophomore and junior year. And right now we have 3 writers that also write for the website. Cam, who's the co-host for my TV show with Whitman Hanson Cable Community Access, along with Jackie Sloan, and then I also have a photographer and Georgia Pano Geotitis. So, it's a small staff, but it's a good staff.
Right.
And then I also have a correspondent who occasionally will write some articles for us, and Kyle DeLuce, who also writes for the Sun Chronicle.
Okay.
So it's, we have, again, like I said, a small but dedicated staff that we're trying to pump out as many articles as we can. It's not easy, but it's something fun, and I like to provide a platform for young writers to be able to write and it be a legitimate news source, where I feel like it's not a blog, which websites nowadays have been commonly mistaken for, because that's how it used to be, that there wasn't really an online platform. It was more the blog-like aspect. And now that we have, the website, we have the TV show, we're working on a lot of, we're trying to do a magazine in the next year. We're putting that, putting that together right now, and trying to just get more writers and have a good time and be able to cover sports and branch out our horizons.
Very good. I understand you also wrote for the Whitman-Hanson Express. What articles or what sports did you cover while writing for the Whitman-Hanson Express?
I've covered a little bit of everything, every sport that at Whitman-Hanson. And for me, it's a rewarding process to be able to write for them at my age and at my time now, since I am a senior. So I have a connection with the student athletes that a lot of other writers don't have, as being somebody who goes to class with them and is able to see them outside of just outside of their uniform.
Right.
So am able to get a little bit of everything and be able to outreach a little bit more, have a little bit more knowledge of the student athletes to put in. I like to make sure, like when I'm writing my articles, to obviously get the story out there, but with it being a small local paper, giving the due to the players that may not in other papers or other writers get their name in the paper. But if there's a student athlete that doesn't get in that often, but has obviously a good performance or something, or is putting in the work and that they deserve to get acknowledged, I like to do that, and I take pride in that, because I know that if I was working my butt off for a team, I would love to see my name in the paper. And I've got that from a lot, and I think that talking to people in the community, a lot of people like that aspect, and I like to give the talents of Whitman-Hanson something to look forward to when they open up and look at the back page of the paper. And it's been a fun experience this last year and a half.
Got to give credit where credit is due, right?
Correct.
Right. So I understand. So your connection with the players outside of their sports, outside of their uniform, how is that connection or friendship? How's that for you, as far as it affecting you writing your articles as well?
I'm able to take a step back and write a non-biased article. So it's not really that like a hardship for me. I think it only helps my writing, not hurts it, because I think the student athlete, my friends, they realize that I have to write what's to write about, and I'm not going to give favoritism to like a really good friend of mine or somebody I might not know as much. And I just think, like I said, it helps being able to get the story behind the story that maybe that other writers might have a difficulty getting, and you're able to interact with the students and the coaches a lot more, and it makes media availability so much easier. I don't have to wait for emails. I can just show up at practice, or I can just show up at the game and be like, I need an interview. And most of the time, they're like, oh, happy to give it to me. And I think everybody, the staff over there, with the athletic department and all the coaches and all the players, it's a fun time to go cover games, and I love it over there at the Express. And when I go away to college, it'll be tough to leave. Out of all my jobs, it'll be tough to, I would love to be able to continue to write articles on occasion.
Right.
But, they were the first people to give me a shot, and I can't forget about that ever. And it's been an outlet for people to start their careers. Nick Caprado also, who writes with ESPN, covering baseball, started here. So, I have a legacy to kind of follow too. Like I feel like I got to keep up, the sports coverage to where it has been and not let it down.
Right. So I also understand that, you've been covering the Boston Breakers as well, the National Women's Soccer League. Now, how is their season developing, and where are they going for their season as well?
Yeah, I've recently started to cover the Breakers, who are part of the National Women's Soccer League. They have the Hanson native, Christy Mewis, which is a pleasure to watch.
Right.
Cover, being able to provide local coverage, but also see it on a national scale. They're in their preseason right now. They're practicing over at the U in Hanover, the University Sports Complex. So I've been able to go watch a few of their practices. I think they're shaping up to make a decent run this year, and they have a lot of good, solid players, and I think it will be a special season. So if you have a chance to be able to go, you or your friends, if you have a chance to go watch a game, definitely make sure that you go and check that out this summer. It's going to be one of the great events this year.
And I understand you're doing a feature article on one of the local natives, Christy Mewis. Are you looking forward to that as well?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I feel, Christy has been good. I've noticed to be coming back and not forgetting where she came from. By stopping at practice on occasion, and her and Sam, tweeting, sending out tweets of good luck when the Panthers were in the state championship this past year. I'm looking forward to a big, a nice story like that, because for me it builds up my my resume a little bit, but then I got to expand and get this a story that somebody that they haven't really seen in the paper.
Right.
Readers haven't really read about in a while. So I think there being an article about a former player, I think people like to see that, because you kind of grow fond of reading about players' careers over their time at Whitman Hanson, and then it's kind of stops. And by bringing that back, I think that's something that readers will appreciate.
Now, this article is going in the Whitman Hanson Express. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
And when do you plan on having the interview along with the featured article? When is that, the timing of that?
Sometime in the next week, 1 or 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna take my make sure that it's a good article. So I'm looking for within the next before the first regular season game for the Breakers, for it to be out there.
Okay.
I'm not sure of a definite timeline, but you can expect it before the first game of the season for the Breakers.
That's very good. So, Brian, let's talk about yourself for a moment. You're shouldn't say very young, but you're only 18, so you're going into college next year. As far as the community college you're going to, what made you choose the specific community college in Syracuse, New York?
I love the college. I wanted to go somewhere outside of Massachusetts and be able to experience a different media market, while also being able to kind of get the college experience. A lot of community colleges don't have dorms,
right,
but the college that I am deciding to go to, Onondaga, does have dorms. Mm-hmm. They also offer a lot more sports at the junior college level than schools around here offer. Most of the schools around here only offer baseball, soccer, and basketball, while schools out other regions of the United States, they have baseball, basketball, soccer, but then they also have track and field, lacrosse, swimming, diving. It's something that will help me as a writer, especially wanting to be a sports journalist. I got to go somewhere that offers more sports, and I'm a big lacrosse guy. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, if you're familiar with the lacrosse world, Syracuse has a pretty darn good lacrosse program. Yeah. And also the school that I'm going to has, Onondaga has a 95-game win streak, has won 7 national titles at the junior college level. Wow. Year after year, they're pumping out Division I players who will go into their junior year and are leadership players. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to be fun being able to cover a team like that and work with a team of that caliber, and then being able to build my resume off of that as well. And I'm excited to go, like I said, explore a different media market.
Besides the lacrosse team out there, do you plan on covering any other sports while in school?
Yeah, I plan to cover all those sports. I've talked to the director of the student newspaper and with the communications department already. I'm in the process of trying to set up a sports-specific website and newsletter while I'm up there, to not only for myself but for other writers up there that want to get into the journalism field, to give them a leg to stand on, kind of give them a ability to cover games and get out on the field experience, which they don't have necessarily. Every school has a paper, but usually it's either bi-weekly or monthly.
Right.
And I feel like I want to go and make a difference in wherever I go to school right away. And that's my way that I'm going to make my impact. I want to leave that school as somebody who's made a difference.
All right. So I understand you're going to be covering these different sports. As far as the education aspect of it, what type of education do you plan on getting? What kind of degree do you want to, when you leave that school, what kind of degree do you plan on getting?
I plan on getting an associate's degree in communication and media arts with the purpose of transferring to a four-year school. Right now, the four-year schools that I'm looking at are BU, UConn, and Penn State, all with great communications programs. So I think the future is bright. It's definitely going to be a stepping stone going to Onondaga and then moving on, getting the bachelor's and moving on with my career.
Now we're almost wrapping up with the show. Brian, is there any other contact information or anything for the viewers that you would like to send out there for them to get in contact with you, or any other information that they can get from you besides this show that we had today?
Definitely follow me on Twitter. I'm a big Twitter guy, social media guy. I'm really good at that. So follow me at @BMcLoughlin22. And because I give updates at all the Whitman-Hanson sports games and every other game I cover, I tweet out my articles, and it definitely I'll give you a follow back. So I appreciate thank you, James, for letting me be on the show this week.
Thank you, Brian. It's been a pleasure. That's gonna be all what we have for today, fans. This is our third show. We plan on having more shows in the future. Please definitely look us up here at Hunter's World. We will definitely be back. I want to thank Brian one more time for being on our show. And that's all we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.